Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Maker. During the last part, I covered 6 viewer-submitted levels, so in this part, I'll be covering 2 more viewer-submitted levels before I move on to some levels in the popular queue. Starting out with this level. This is not Sparkman's Revenge by Some Robot, 12 plays and a score of 6. Now, as usual, if you want one of your levels to be featured in a future part like this one, please leave the level name or preferably the level ID in the comment section below or direct message me on Twitter. Also, the link to my full disclaimer of this entire LP is also in the description below. Also, this seems to be a longer stage based off the loading time. As I repeatedly stated beforehand, in several parts, I would really like there to be an update to this engine which showcases the difficulty of the stage, or rather at least the success rate, as well as how long the stage is roughly in terms of screens. Those would be really useful, instead of having to roughly gauge how long each stage is based off of how long the loading times are. Okay, we have the Shine, Charge Kick, and the Skull Barrier. We have 2 pathways we can take. I'll be taking the right pathway. As from what I've heard from the developer, the right pathway is the easier one, so I'll start out with that one. And thank you for putting the arrows there for illustrating that there are 2 pathways. I would like to make the arrows a little bit bigger, but this works out too. That was my fault for running right into them. Thankfully we have the charge kick so I can get through here faster. I also thanked that the developer actually put in these signs, or these gradual introduction of gimmicks or different special weapons, by illustrating it with these blocks. So now we know that we can use the skull barrier to get across this, both by the introduction of spikes, and the fact that we have the skull block on the top, and we have that rolling enemy rolling on the top of the spikes. That's good design. These enemies are a lot less threatening than what they seem to be, but they are being introduced in easier fashions before getting mixed in with other enemies in more progressively difficult fashions. Like here, for example. Or I suppose here. See, like here, this is where they're now introducing more difficult fashions. Because if they fall right on top of me when my skull barrier goes... If they ram right into me, my skull barrier goes down, and I'm going to die because I'll fall directly into the spikes. Also, good checkpoint placement. As I repeatedly stated, the more difficult the challenge is, the more checkpoints there should be. Also, nice introduction of the charge kick over here, just like the skull barrier. Also, nice introduction to enemies like the tellies and whatever else. Oh, wow. That was a little bit of a jerk move putting the checkpoint, putting the screen transition over there, because you can end up dying pretty easily. Also, thank you for being rather generous in terms of checkpoint placement. You gotta be a little bit careful so you don't destroy the ground beneath you by charge kicking in the wrong area. So there's a nice introduction of gimmicks and challenges here. Over here we gotta be careful with all of these tellies and not destroying the ground beneath us, or rather dissipating the skull barrier. Oh boy. I also realized that if you have a shield up, and you turn on and off go off and on the pause menu, it will dissipate, so you gotta be careful there. Here I need to quickly switch between this and the engine didn't pick up my jump button. You're supposed to quickly switch between this and the charge kick, I suppose. But we'll see. Never mind, you can make this jump without using the charge kick in midair. I thought you would have to jump in midair with the skull barrier, then quickly switch over to the charge kick, but no, that's not necessary. Let me see, okay. Okay, we need to do a quick switch over... Whoa. Okay then. I want to try something. And I forgot to initiate the shield. I want to collect some of these ME blocks. Also, really generous placement of all these life pickups, or should I say weapon energy pickups. Perhaps if there was an item added to the game which would fill out one of your weapons to max, similar to the extra life, that would be really useful. So you don't need to use all of these extra life weapon pickups. No, the shield dissipates as well when you transfer between screens. Oh well, I'll go directly to the boss fight. I have enough special weapon energy anyway. Never mind, this is one of those screens we have to quickly get across without getting killed by the force beams. Well, at least there's a checkpoint right nearby, and there's a lot of pickups that we can use to restore our stuff. So I'm not complaining. And there's a delay, enough of a delay in the first one, so you can get used to the pattern too. Do a quick switch over here. I'm just gonna charge kick off of this. Use that. Be quick over there so I don't end up falling into those tellies. I didn't know if I was gonna make that jump. A little bit of quick weapon switching, but it isn't too bad. After all, the developer did train us for this a bit. If there's one thing I'd like to say about the developer of this stage is that they're really generous with checkpoint placement and the weapon pickups. More so than most developers I've seen. Oh, neat. How do you fight this boss? Oh, I see. We have to launch it right back into him. So I'm just gonna stay right over here and finish the job. I wonder what those teleporters are for. Oh, I see now. Ow. I see what those teleporters are for. I have to be just off of the edge so I can hit him with it. Those teleporters are for attacking the boss from the opposite side of the screen. aka if I take the left pathway, I think I'll need to fight Sparkman from that side, which is going to be more difficult with all the teleportations. But here, I can easily just fight Sparkman by standing right over here. Or I can just use his weakness and easily defeat him that way. Well, that was the end of This Is Not Sparkman's Revenge, an interesting, more gimmick-based stage that utilizes a combination of the skull barrier, charge kick, as well as the shine. Mostly the charge kick and skull barrier, and switching between them in midair so you can get across. But of course, the stage isn't done just yet. There is the left pathway to try out, and from what the developer told me in the YouTube comments section, the left pathway is a lot more difficult. I'm hoping I won't need to edit out too many deaths, but if it becomes necessary, I will do it. After all, the next stage in this part, it'll be a challenging stage, especially if I fail a lot. Okay, left pathway. Okay, it's showing me that oh, this is showing me that I have to go down and I need to have the shine equipped. Oh wait, oh darn, I missed that. Hold on, let me try this again. I see what they wanted me to do there. G8, or is it good game? Something. Well, I got about 60 tanks and 1 M tank, so I'm happy now. I thought I had that equipped. Unfortunately, once I get into there, I can't get out, so I'm forced to restart at this checkpoint, unfortunately. But I do maintain all of these E and M tanks, so the trip down there was well worth it. So it's telling me that I need to use the shine here. I thought there was going to be a spike trap down here, but thankfully there wasn't. There was this though. I can still damage boost though, so there's that. Oh, I need to reflect the shots back at them and time my shots back. That's neat. Alternatively, I could just use the charge kick and make it a lot easier. Of course, it doesn't work that way. Darn. Okay, so the pathway on the right was more about utilizing the charge kick as well as the skull barrier, but this one's more about using the shine's reflective properties, as well as air braking, or killing your vertical momentum. Oh darn it. I'm just gonna skip past this. This is the faster route after all. And there's checkpoint placements close enough to each other, so it isn't too bad. Also, I really like the transition, or rather progression of the stage, so you know which part of the stage you're at. Like, we started with this green fortress background from Nightman, or whatever the stage was, and now we're in... what was his name? Well, we have a combination of Stone Man's tile set, and a background from Shadow Man. First I need to deflect these shots, and I don't know why we need the charge kick in order to get across here. We can always just use the... well, we can always just use the shine. I suppose it will become necessary here, though. But yeah, the shine is really powerful in this game, that's for sure. Thank you for the checkpoint. I'm going to be utilizing it right now. Now let me just kill off all these beaks and get down over there. Normally I would kill off all those Ben Ks and Coltons, but they'll despawn and respawn, so it isn't worth it. Here it is. Oh, it's always so satisfying to kill off these enemies rapidly by just deflecting their shots back at them. Especially for the really damaging ones or the fast ones. The really damaging enemies or the... oh wow, this is close. The enemies who fire rapidly or... thank you for the warning over there. For the enemies that fire rapidly or fire really damaging shots, it's really satisfying. I'm going to be utilizing and abusing the checkpoint placement's refill of weapon energy. Well, life energy, I mean. Especially because I don't have a life limit. Oh boy, it's this screen now. I guess what... wow, there's a lot of enemy spam. There's a lot of enemy spam here, but because I have the ability to deflect everything's shots, it's of no problem. Up to a point though, some of the enemies are still of annoyance to deal with. Like, for example, the picket men. Because they're random shot patterns. See, that's the main problem with the picket men, for me at least. Even if I can deflect their shots, because their arc is a bit random, you can still get caught. Were there force beam generators there? I didn't see. Oops. Well, I have 6 E-tanks, so I might as well use them. The only problem with using the shine, of course, is the fact that once you use it, you get thrown off of shields. Okay, 6, you let go of ladders. I saw a 6 over there. Really, the left pathway is the shine pathway. I never seen any use of using the skull barrier. Well, there is a use for using the charge kick, but that's more for going through enemies rapidly. A lot of jumping segments for some reason. Darn, if I made that jump earlier I would have made it past. Really, I feel this is the easier pathway of the bunch. The left one's easier, the right one's more difficult. Where the right one focuses more on finesse of going through those platforming segments and using the skull barrier's spike protection properties, as well as the charge kick's air kicking. Whereas this second pathway is focusing much more on the, well, the proper usage of the shine. I don't know if it's necessary to have all these M-tanks. Sadly, we can only carry one M-tank, so we don't break the game entirely. Oh, and this is where the pathways loop up. I didn't realize. I thought we were going to be teleported up there, but in reality, we entered the boss door. We entered this boss arena from the right side. I didn't expect that to happen. Oh wait, can I hit him from there? No, I can't. Hold on a minute. Can I charge kick through this? Oh, I lost the ability to use charge kick because I used it in midair. Oops. Okay, it's a time-based challenge where I need to time usage of the shine properly in order to damage Sparkman. It's a certainly more difficult boss fight, that's for sure. I really want to deflect his more powerful blows, or more powerful sparks especially. But really, it's more of a battle of attrition right now. But otherwise, I really like the stage. I like the fact that the right pathway properly, nicely introduced the gimmicks of using the charge kicks, and the Skullberry's new properties, with nice introduction of enemy gimmicks, and enemies in more complicated patterns. And the same holds true for the left pathway, although I feel it was the easier pathway, where it focused more on the Shine's abilities and how it can deflect most enemy projectiles. And the fact that most of the enemies on the left pathway fired projectiles at you really made it much more easy to use the Shine. Although I wish there were more rooms like that ladder segment where you have to climb upwards, where it was a lot more hazardous to use the Shine because you let go of the ladder. Otherwise, I give this stage 2 thumbs up. Nice job, Some Robot. One more hit should do it. And that should be it. Pretty fun stage overall, and I already gave my comments. Though I feel like the stage difficulties or pathway difficulties were a little bit reversed. But still, it's definitely getting a thumbs up like I did over here. So awesome work, Some Robot. Second stage on this lineup is Killer Queen Bites the Dust Mental Breakdown by Joe. 14 plays and a score of 3. And from the comments that he left in the comment section, well, this is going to be one of the more punishing stages. That's why I said lose your mind, mainly because of how difficult it can be if you don't get used to the patterns and whatnot. He said it's really punishing if you screw up quite a bit. So it's much less forgiving. Okay, Mental Breakdown, and it's one of the longer stages as well, like Crazy Diamond was in the previous part. And it even has the same musical track, I suppose. Okay, we have the Shine, Charge Kick, and Magnet Beam. And knowing from their previous stages, well, most of them are going to be mandatory. This is a challenge-based stage after all. I think we can make those jumps, but I don't want to risk it. Of course, as expected, we're forced to use this. I guess those are up there for those who need it. I get the feeling there's something important up here. No. Oh. Okay, so that was teaching me that I needed to use the Shine in order to get across, otherwise I couldn't get past all of these, well, count bombs. Speaking of which... Okay, this was also teaching me that I needed to use the Magnet Beam there in order to get across. Well, I guess that's one way of teaching you forced weapon usage and how to use the weapons properly. And if you fail, you can always backtrack by opening up those count bombs. I wonder what that bottom teleporter takes me to. I'll see it when I replay it through the stage. After all, that was just a subtle introduction. The next part of the stages are going to get a lot more challenging. It doesn't feel as difficult as Crazy Diamond yet, at least at the same point of the stage, but I won't discount the fact that the stages will get a bit more difficult. Okay, Elect Beam usage, oh boy. I was forced to use the Charge Kick there, I think. Okay. I thought there was going to be Yoke Blocks there, but I suppose we're going to be forced to use the Magnet Beam. Oh, here we go. That's what I was expecting to happen eventually. More tight spike slide. Let me kill off this one. And now we have the Yoke Block segment, which I'll just completely circumvent by using the Magnet Beam. Thank you for giving me the option, developer. Oh, wow. That's a lot of them. I was a little bit too risky. I want to really restore my magnet beam energy because I know I'll be using it quite a bit. Okay, going down, I suppose. Oh, wow. A little bit of a stuttering over there. Are we back to where we started? Yeah, we are. Are there false dead ends that loop back into the start of the stage? Oh, never mind. I thought for a second that we were repeating the start of the stage and that was like a jerk Kaiser teleporter, and in fact the other route was the correct one. But no, that was just for the losing your mind portion. Clever. Let me take the upper pathway and see where it leads. Oh goody, even more alternate pathways. This kind of reminds me of Nightcore, and more so than the Crazy Diamond. Because Crazy Diamond didn't really have that many alternate pathways that... Well, there were some, but they looped back into the main pathway really quickly. So I guess I will have to use a level editor to get back to the alternate pathways faster. But the stage isn't as difficult as Crazy Diamond yet. Keyword being yet. But at least most of these stages are relatively well designed, so I don't find it too frustrating to go through. After all, these feel more like Kaizo levels rather than challenge levels. I mean, these feel more like challenge levels rather than Kaizo levels. I was expecting there to be a secret up there, but no. That's just for some extra pickup. I heard a force beam somewhere. That does not inspire me with confidence at all. No thank you. Now we're in the Icy Tundra section of the stage. Wonderful ice physics. Let's see how long I survive with these. I'm just gonna skip it as much as possible, especially when I have all this weapon energy. How many alternate pathways are there? I'm trying to take all of the ones that lead directly to the right, but it seems like there's a lot of them. I'll definitely need to recheck this in the editor. No, that's okay. We just need to go down here. I thought there was another alternate pathway up there. Two pathways we can take. And I opened up the right one by accident. Oh, I forgot you can fall in them, okay. Well, that's an interesting room structure. Very creative usage of colors, but it does stutter every so often. That'll go nicely in the thumbnail for this part. Once again, we're at the beginning, or what looks to be the beginning, but in reality, it's another section. Oh no, we're back over. Oh, I see, we need to blow up all three of those segments in order to get across. That's neat. So I guess we need to blow up... Oh, and I see the pathways diverge too. And eventually we'll be able to make our way across from the left to the right side of the screen. Very clever. I do like it when stages loop into each other and you can see alternate pathways from other pathways. And eventually you will have to reach all of the pathways to open up a switch or something in order to access the last part of the stage. That's one of my favorite level types. Although I don't like it when it's taken too much to the extreme. At least the stage isn't a maze, and that was my fault. Somehow I dodged all those shots, but not this one. I'm just gonna restart a checkpoint here because I feel I'm too low on health. Better safe than sorry. Eventually I'm going to loop up to that old point which I missed, and that was my fault. I should have waited there. Well, at least the checkpoint placement is very fair, so I'm not complaining at all of that. That was my fault for getting ambushed there. I should just destroy this one. Now let's go over here and wait for this laser to go out. I could wait a bit longer if I really wanted to. Or well, I could rush it if I really wanted to, but instead I'll wait. That's not it. I need to be really quick here, otherwise I'll... Thank you for refilling my magnet beam energy. I know I'll need that. This looks like a heart shape as well. There are a lot of interestingly designed shapes and structures of this stage. I feel that's going to loop back up to the same point. Okay, let's see where this leads up. Oh, of course, this pathway. How do I do this? I need to get to the right side of the screen somehow, but if I keep going outside of this and respawning the screen, it'll restore all of these blocks. Let's take the middle. And we're taking all the way back down here. Oh, I wonder if restarting actually resets all those blocks too. If that's the case, then I have to do this deathless. That's gonna be a problem. After all, we're back all the way here. I'm gonna take the right pathway and see where it leads to this time. Didn't mean to do that. Well, at least I have a extra insurance to get back up here. Now let's see where this route leads to. And I can't use this, I can't use the shine to reflect it because I may destroy the ground beneath me. I get the feeling this is kind of like a giant maze. Especially with all the teleporters going everywhere. Okay, at least for the first one it isn't too much of a problem. Wait a minute, what's down there? I guess that teleporter leads back to that point. I thought I had the Mega Buster equipped. Yeah, some of these slides are really scary. I'm gonna go to the right and see where it leads to. I'm getting lost. This is kind of becoming like a maze. I guess that's what they say, lose your mind or something. I'm gonna have to take a look at the level editor to see what's going on. Of course. I actually need to go through all these segments without dying. That's gonna be problematic. Because now I need to go repeat the first segment, then take the other segment so I can get past there. Well, I'll do it off screen and I'll teleport back to the segment at which I didn't take. Alright everyone, I'm back at this pathway, back at the fork I didn't take. Now, I had to use the level editor because I discovered a nasty part of this engine. If you die, all of these blocks get reset back to their initial state, which means that they actually exist. Which means that if I die or restart at the last checkpoint in the process of trying to destroy those blocks, we'll have to take all 3 pathways again before I can take this route. So it effectively makes the second half of this stage a deadless run, which makes it much more of an endurance-based challenge, and I completed 3 pathways enough times, but there's always something that takes me down. So I decided to use the level editor to get around here and complete the stage that way. You already saw the other pathways, so this is the only one we didn't take so far. So first we need to get down here. If we didn't actually destroy those 3 blocks on the right, we can actually just use a teleporter to get back to the first point, back to that original screen that we keep looping back to, and then use that to destroy the blocks. And then come back over here. But as I said, this challenge would be a bit better if the fact that these blocks would actually stay destroyed, or mark some of them to be staying destroyed, even if you get killed. That would make this stage a lot more tolerable. At least for me. Because otherwise it makes this a combination of an endurance and challenge-based stage, and I really don't like endurance-based stages. Because at that point you might as well just make the checkpoint right at the beginning segment over there, because you can't progress forwards without having to destroy those 3 switches, or rather those 3 blocks preventing you from sliding forward. At least that's for me, my perspective. Otherwise the stage is pretty fun. See, for here you need to go through these 3 pathways, or at least 2 of them. You need to do at least the left and right pathway. Well, at the very least you need to take the center pathway, and whichever blocks you destroy, you don't need to take that pathway, so at the very least you have a choice between which 2 of the 3 pathways you can take. But still, I find it a little bit annoying, especially if you die, and then you're forced to restart and do both those pathways that you missed and redo them over and over. So it makes it more of an endurance-based run, and considering how many screens long this can be quite annoying. Alright, time for the boss fight against Bombman, who is weak against the Mega Master, good to know. And we only have the yellow force beams, that's a lot better. And that was the end of Killer Queen Bites the Dust. As I said, I really liked the stage, I gave it 2 thumbs up, but really, I would have liked it if the engine actually maintained the fact that the blocks at this junction would actually stay destroyed after you destroyed them. That would make this stage a lot more tolerable for me. After that marathon of a level, it's time to play a few levels from the most popular queue, starting out with A Stupid Level by LucasKnight. 122 plays and a score of 25, and I can rely on those levels being good at least, or at least having a pretty fun gimmick. But to be fair, the previous 2 levels I played in this part weren't bad, they were pretty fun, it's just that the second level really dragged on for me. And well, it has some things that I don't really like about it. If the engine maintained the block state after destruction after you die, it'd make the stage a lot more fun. But that's bygones be bygones, I suppose. Was I supposed to be falling down over here? I think I glitched through the stage a bit. Because I don't think I'm supposed to be down here, I thought I was supposed to fall in a bottomless pit. I'll double check the stage once I finish it and see what's going on there. I think there was an alternate pathway I missed or something. Foamy the Rolling Cutter was a little bit better. It's kind of one of my least favorite weapons in the game right now. Good checkpoint placement. And nice introduction of gimmicks for— oh, that was my fault. I got ambushed there by all those elect beams. I should have waited. And I keep forgetting not to— I keep forgetting that I have to wait there. I think I can rush it, but no. At least there's a checkpoint just 2 screens after the previous one. It's kind of unnecessary if you ask me, but I suppose the developer thought that previous segment would be a little bit too frustrating. Okay, we have a combination of a whole bunch of different platform types, that's for sure. 3 or 4 of them. But this assumes that you know how these platforms work, so this is definitely not introducing the gimmicks in that fashion. Well, that was a good, distinct change. We teleported from Quickman's lab to this whole place, to Iceman's stage. I'm not sure if Magnet Man's team will work good for this stage. And the enemies are placed without a coherent team, if you ask me, or proper introduction. Well, I guess that was the point of this stage. It's kind of like a stupid level. And we have all these E and M tanks for that reason. Well, that was a rather straightforward stage. It was nicely well put together, but you need to know how those platforms work already to get through the stage with ease. At least there is frequent checkpoint placement, so it isn't too bad. That one point where all those elect beams is a little bit jerkish, but as I said, at least there is a checkpoint nearby, so it isn't too frustrating if you get killed. And you have infinite lives, so it doesn't matter too much either. Okay, you're supposed to fall down there. I thought you would fall to your doom if you did that. Well, that was a nice fun stage. Good job, LucasKnight. At least these stages are pretty short. Next up is Wily Submarine by ProtoMaster, 99 plays and a score of 24. The next part, I'll also do a whole bunch of popular levels because the first two stages of this part, the viewer submitted levels, especially the second one, was rather long. So might as well make up for it. Also, good usage of Waveman's theme from Mega Man 5 for a submarine stage. After all, we did start underground. And I don't remember hearing Waveman's theme before in this game, so a nice usage of Roadmaster themes that we haven't heard of before. Sadly, we can't go down there. Darn, I can't charge kick slide through those pole eggs. Also, I feel like the Magnet Missile consumes way too much energy for the amount of damage it uses, or the amount of damage it deals, as well as how it locks onto enemies. It would be one of my favorite weapons in this game if it didn't use so much weapon energy. Well, I'm liking the stage so far. It's definitely more on the easy side, easy to normal side, and the enemies are being introduced in a fashion that assumes that you know how they've been used before. Which I don't mind too much, but I don't like, and at least the stage doesn't commit the cardinal sin of challenges suddenly appearing out of nowhere and you getting trapped. There are a few of these spike jumps which are a little bit hairy, but once you get used to them, they're fine. Oh, we're now in the submarine too. We started outside the submarine, and now in the second half of the stage, I assume it's the second half, we're going to be rummaging through Wily Submarine and defeat the boss at the end. I guess it got a lot of points for aesthetics. Also, thank you for giving me the Mega Man 5 or 6 charge shot, my favorite version. And it's a relatively well-placed stage. I like it when every so often when I play an more easy to normal Mega Man stage, one that's more in tune with the classic Mega Man games for the most part. Sure, I like the more challenge-based stages like This Is Not Sparkman's Revenge, well, that was more of a gimmick-based stage, and challenge-based stages like Killer Queen, but still I like the more regular stages every so often, so I don't lose energy and I have a nice fun romp. Though you're forced to use stuff like the Charge Kick's jumping ability in order to get across some of these gaps. Or of course use the Magnet Beam, that works too. Really, this is the closest to feeling like a regular Mega Man Classic stage from the traditional NES titles, only with less introduction of gimmicks, so this may be more like a special stage of sorts. But overall, nice overall design and challenge progression. Just need some work with introducing enemies. And of course we fight Sparkman because we don't have a water-based Rod Master. Other than Toadman of course, but I don't exactly count him as one. And that was the end of Wily Submarine. Overall, pretty nice stage. I would say that this is not Sparkman's Revenge, Killer Queen, and this one to be my top 3 stages of this part. So great work, ProtoMaster. You deserve it. Alright, time for the last level of this part. Ramator Stage 1 by Ramator, or Ramator, sorry if I'm butchering your name. 196 plays and a score of 62. So the best scoring level of this part. Let's see how this fares. Okay, Nightman's team and background. And we only have the Crash Bomber. So we gotta be a bit careful. But I can at least dissipate the Crash Bomb whenever I want by quick weapon switching to nothing. So there is that. So whenever I miss my shot, I can always just dissipate the Crash Bomber whenever I need to be. Even though I don't actually have another special weapon, the act of switching it actually just turns off my Crash Bombs on screen. The same holds true for shields, I believe. Darn, I thought there was a secret on the left. I was really suspicious of the screen scroll over there. That I thought there was a secret. Because I know that Mega Man DOS Remake did pull that trick in one of the Fortress stages. Gotta be a little bit careful here. Especially with all the spikes. Still, it's pretty well designed, and there's a nice introduction and smoothing out of the difficulty and challenges. It feels a little bit more challenging than Wily Submarine, though. So it feels like a combination or some way of a halfway point between the traditional Mega Man levels and the challenge-based levels. I feel like this is like a Fortress stage, because the gimmicks aren't introduced in a fashion where if a player is a novice or hasn't been introduced to them yet, they won't know how to do it properly. It's more made in mind with the fact that the players who are going to this level already know how these gimmicks work. But it's done in a more challenging way, but still, they are introduced in a fair fashion, and the challenge level is being ramped up properly, so it feels definitely like a Fortress-based level. Definitely in terms of size and scope. And that was the end of Ramator's Stage 1. I suppose there are a few more stages in Ramator's series, but this was pretty well solidly built. I would put this under the honorable mention category, that's for sure. It's a great work, Ramator. Or Ramator, however you pronounce it. And they have a whole bunch of other stages too, wonderful. But of course, I guess this is a good time to call it quits for this part. I would cover a 6th level, but because the first 2 levels were rather long, I'd rather save it for the next part, which will focus only on popular levels. The next viewer-submitted levels part will be coming very soon. I'll try doing it every week or so because of the deluge of level submissions I'm getting every day or so. So in summary, I would say my favorite levels of this part were This Is Not Sparkman's Revenge, Killer Queen, and Wily Submarine. And an honorable mention goes to the previous level. So in the next part, as I just said, I'll be covering levels only from the most popular queue. Well then, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Toodles!